Revenge films. I married a man with a second-grade daughter and became her mother. She was a delightful child, and there were no problems at home. But I was concerned about her friend and hadn't slept for days. It all started after we moved because my husband wanted a fresh start after his new marriage. We didn't want our daughter to have to change schools, so we bought an old home in the same district and fully remodeled it. It was peaceful for a while after we moved, until one day my daughter came home and begged me, "Mom, can you make me a cake and buy some Coke?" She seemed off, like she was under some sort of pressure. So I asked her, "Are your friends coming over?" And she replied, "Yeah, I don't have much time. Can you hurry?" So I listened to her and baked a cake and went to buy some Coke. When I got back from the store, as I was coming up to the door, I heard my daughter's voice. "No! Stop it!" She was screaming, so I hurried inside and called her name. She continued to cry, so I ran up the stairs to her room where I heard her. When I opened the door, I saw her friend, Jill, on top of my daughter, who laid there face up. Jill had a pair of scissors in her hands and a creepy smile on her face, so I said to her, "What are you doing? Get off of her!" Jill had a smile on her face. "I was just trying to give her a haircut. Where's that cake, by the way?" she asked. My daughter must have been scared to death because she threw up as she was crying. I reacted to my daughter's situation. "Get out of here!" I tried yelling at Jill to leave, but she said, "I'll leave after I have my cake." So I gave her the cake and Jill finally left. But on her way out, she said, "I'll see you again." It was quite creepy. I took my daughter to the bath to wash her, and when I took off her clothes, I noticed that her back had a bunch of bruises, and she had scratch marks on the back of her neck, which were bleeding. The sight of my hurt daughter made me cry. I asked her what was happening after the bath, and she told me that she hadn't talked to Jill before that day, but Jill approached her after school today, and she started crying on my lap after telling me how scared she was. I was scared and didn't know what to do either. So I called my husband to come home early, and I told him what happened. My husband called the police immediately. After explaining our situation, the police arrived in a couple minutes. My daughter was questioned about what happened, but she was shaken and didn't want to speak. So the police said that they'd come back for questions the following day. The police seemed like they knew Jill. I spoke with my husband after the police had left, and he told me that when they were moving in, my husband saw a girl playing in the yard. He warned her to get off their property, and the girl left, saying, "I'll see you again," as she snapped some branches on her way out. He was a bit creeped out by the girl, but with everything going on, it had slipped his mind. He apologized that he should have told us about it earlier. The next day, my husband took a day off work and called the school to explain to my daughter's teacher what had happened and that she was going to take a day off. 5 minutes later, the principal called back.
"Would you tell me more about the incident? And can I also ask you to keep this between us for now?"
So, my father visited the school. When my husband arrived, he was let into the principal's office where he met a couple that he'd never seen before. When they saw him, they got on their knees and begged for forgiveness. They were Jill's parents. When the principal heard that there were police at our place, he immediately suspected Jill, but brushed it away because he thought that they had moved far away. After hearing about what happened from our daughter's teacher, he called Jill's parents just in case. His guess was right. Jill's family had moved away, but they had moved back into the town next door for her father's job, and Jill had been missing for 2 days. The incident happened while Jill's parents were searching for her. My husband heard about Jill's family from the principal. They used to live on the land where our new house was built, but had to move away because they had to sell the house. They had to sell the house to pay for compensation after Jill had previously blinded a classmate. The incident happened after school and was publicly reported as an accident, so that was why the school wanted to keep things secret. Jill's parents said they'd pay compensation if we would only retract the police reports. But my husband didn't comply. Jill was found 3 days later. She was caught trying to spy on our house from our neighbor's roof. Our neighbor had a dog. It noticed Jill and was barking at her, so Jill hit the dog over its head with a shovel. Our neighbor heard the dog whimper and called the police, and that's how they found Jill. Jill was picked up by her mother and brought home after that. Jill's mother got into a lot of trouble at the police department. "I can't control this girl anymore. Please arrest her or something," she yelled in anger and broke down crying. From what I heard, Jill was always a problematic child, and her parents were irresponsible parents. Jill's father was a state worker, and her mother was a nurse. We filed a damage report to the police and handed them the doctor's diagnosis. But apparently, Jill's age was making the case more complicated than we expected, and things weren't going so smoothly. I noticed that our daughter was having nightmares about it, and I thought that maybe she didn't feel completely safe because I wasn't her real mother. I felt really confused. Jill ended up showing up again a few days later, peeking through our window. Upon finding me and my daughter, she said through the window, "Let me in," with a creepy voice. We didn't know what to do, and it was quite disconcerting. We couldn't handle this on our own, so we decided to involve a lawyer to help us deal with Jill and her family. We told our lawyer that we didn't care about the money. We just cared about our daughter's safety. But we ended up moving as well. It was a last resort, but our daughter's safety was top priority. After a while, Jill moved with her father to her father's parents' house out of town. But I heard she's in an institution now, after she caused more problems over there, too. Jill's mother was living with her own parents for a while, until she got institutionalized after breaking into her husband's parents' house with a knife to try to kill Jill. And about why we were targeted. According to our lawyer, when Jill's family used to live at the house, she had a younger sister. And one day, by accident, Jill killed her sister. Since then, her parents had been abusive and negligent towards Jill. She apparently became unstable and started causing problems. And that's when we moved into her old house. She saw our family, and it reminded her of the days when she would play with her sister and her parents were nice to her. It was a painful story to hear. Our lawyer has been good to us since then. And thankfully, we live a peaceful life now. How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.